If you're someone who does any amount of traveling, chances are you've run into a situation where you have a specific dietary plan and you are either on the road, at the airport, somewhere away from home, and you are trying to figure out what you're going to eat or where you're going to eat. And you see that the line from the Chick-fil-A is around the corner, but you don't want to eat there. And you don't wanna haul a suitcase full of food with you every time you travel somewhere, so what are you gonna do? Well, I am so intrigued to talk with my guest today who has a really amazing solution to this, and we are just gonna dive in. This is Leigh Balkom. Hey, Leigh. And
Ew.
she is the founder and chief enthusiast at Healthy Anywhere, which is a place for you to be able to find sustainable, delicious meals when you're dining out or on the go. And Leigh, thank you so much for being here. I can't
Oh,
wait to hear more about this.
thank you, Mira. It's really a pleasure to be here.
You know, you're doing something that I have been complaining about for years. Why isn't somebody doing something about this? So I give you a lot of credit for that. I think it
Mm,
takes a lot of probably effort and energy and time and everything else to figure all of this out. But I'm curious to know, like, what got you started?
Oh, yes. Great question. And yeah, this has actually been a 20-year long passion of mine. A lot of people don't realize that. But so I'll just take it all the way back. Like I was a health enthusiast actually at a really young age, somewhat out of necessity because I had a lot of like wacky immune system stuff going on. Just all my life, it's been a thing. And my dad was also like a total health nut. And I was growing up in Alabama. So it was really funny. We would joke that he really was somehow mysteriously from Berkeley. There we are in Alabama. But the other thing is we grew up eating out like every night. And, being a health enthusiast and eating out every night, like that's you kind of at odds. And 100%, it wasn't great for my
Mm,
health. And I often felt, I just didn't feel well.
mhm,
And so over the years, I was just always looking for like, how do I feel better, with this kind of low level immune system stuff going on. And I was increasingly able to connect what I was eating with how I felt and also
mhm,
other healthy habits that are so important. But, then fast forward out of college, I went into consulting and I was traveling. I was on the road, every week I was on the road. And again, I was trying to be healthy and I was eating out every single night. Right. So here I am again, but this time I have control over where I'm going to eat. Right. For the most part, with some exceptions. So it was like a sport for me, even going back, in 2000. So I was traveling. I mean, grew up in a small town in Montgomery, Alabama, not tiny, but relatively small. And I'm traveling to New York and Los Angeles and Chicago. And just kind of my eyes were open to, what all was out there. And I spent a lot of time in Southern California in like early 2000, 2001. And I just fell in love with those really healthy eateries.
mhm.
In Brentwood, there was a place called Avotra Sante. There was Coral Tree Cafe, and these were just so special, so healthy, and beautiful food. And it's like I wanted that everywhere I went. But that's hard to get when you're going to like Columbus, Ohio, and but there was a beautiful place there too that we ended up finding. It's long closed now, but it was wonderful. Um, so yeah, I was always just struggling to kind of, but I was determined. I was a
Mhm.
determined struggler. And it really all came down to there was one night in 2003, very dramatic. I had started off. I actually moved. I ended up moving to the Bay Area in 2003, but then all my project work was on the East Coast. So it was like, move out to paradise. It's in the middle of winter. And of course, I got to go to Philadelphia, connecting through Chicago in a during a storm, and I want to be healthy, right? And so but I get to the airport, and I wasn't really familiar with San Francisco airport at the time. And I was just overwhelmed. I was like a deer in the headlights with all the options everywhere. And I said, no, I'm not going to eat anything right now. And of course, I didn't bring anything. I'm just going to wait till I get to Chicago. I've got a nice long layover there. I'll figure out what to eat there. Well, no, then we had delay. We were on the tarmac for like 4 hours. I mean, it was, all kinds of horror stories of travel I could tell, but this was an extra challenging time. And so, my connection in Chicago ended up being really tight and then delayed
Mhm.
again. So by the time and I just no food, and I barely had a pack of peanuts by the time I finally got to Philadelphia, and it was after midnight. I got out of the taxi cab. I had my suitcase in hand. I still remember it. Snow was up, to my knees. And I was like hangry. I was like shaking. I was so hungry. And there was like no options at that point. And
Mm.
so, at that it was like that moment when I vowed never again to be caught off guard, and like I am going to map out wherever I go. I'm going to figure it out. Like where and how am I going to eat healthy anywhere? And
Mhm.
that really was that initial spark, and kind of gave me the idea for a curated guide of where to go. And but of course, and I will tell you, a lot of people don't know this either. I actually quit my consulting job within like about a year later, and I was going to start Healthy Anywhere. I was like, I'm going to do this. I had just, I was new to the Bay Area, didn't really know many people because I had been traveling all the time. And now I quit, and here I am. And it was terrifying. And financially, I didn't have much cushion at the time
Yeah.
either. I was in my early 20s. And so I wound up going back to work, and Healthy Anywhere was always in the background. And all my friends, they'd be like, oh, yeah, Leah's talking about Healthy Anywhere. And like, she's going to do it one of these days. And I would kind of keep spreadsheets and even a database. Like I did engineering and some analysis in my earlier years. So it was always like this passion and thing that I wanted to get around to doing. And just, finally it got to a point in 2018. I had built up a couple business I'd helped build up a couple businesses for a healthcare technology and analytics company. And there was a changing of the corporate guard, and I was thinking to myself, like, when am I gonna do this? Like, it's now or never. And so I left the security of corporate America to chase this crazy 20-year dream. And yeah, I will say it's been a lot it was a lot harder. It's taken a lot longer. It's taken a lot more money and time and everything, like everything than I could ever have imagined. But I wouldn't take it back. And I'm really excited for what we built.
Sure.
Um,
Well, and I think it's an amazing concept because I think there's a huge groundswell at this point. There are more people who are realizing that they feel better when they eat a certain
yes.
way, whatever that particular
Right.
dietary pattern is. And they're really kind of over the pizza and donut burger fare that's found on every street corner. They want to be able to have something that's better. So I'm curious, what exactly is Healthy Anywhere? Is it an app? Is it a website? Is it a brochure? Like, what are you?
Great question. What are we? So we do have a mobile app.
Mhm,
Now, the mobile app is giving you access to a whole lot of work that's going on behind the scenes. So I would say
mhm.
we are not only a mobile app, we are also a system, and we apply holistic nutrition standards
Nice.
kind of at your service. So I've got this crazy back end platform that we built. And as of about a month ago, we had about 76,000 restaurants that have been pre screened, Mira. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not everything, but we're getting tips. from health, you know, folks in health and nutrition, and we do look at the food critics. So if
Mhm.
Eater and Infatuation are talking about it, well, gosh, if I can find something healthy, you know, it ends up being a really small percentage, but when you find it, it's really good, right? So I got all these tricks, but yeah, we're bringing in kind of pre-filtered restaurants into the
Okay.
platform and then evaluating. I go out and we get all the information that we can. So
Mhm.
I'm like a greedy data monster, right? I want to know their menu, their ingredients, where are they sourcing from? Like we look at the farms, you know, we look at the name of the farms on the menu, and then we're like, okay, well, wait a minute, that's a CAFO out in the Midwest, you know, like some of the meat, um, some of the farm names aren't what you might think. So
Right.
it is important. It is important to check. So like all these crazy nerdy details. Look at the fish. You know, is it a high omega 3, low mercury, low contaminant? Is it sustainably caught? And like the sustainability of fish is changing.
Yeah.
Um, and it's different even region by region, year to year. So there's just a lot of details to keep track of, but we're actually doing it and benchmarking restaurants in an area. So we'll go into an area and kind of stack up kind of pre-qualified places that look like they pass a sniff test. But every single one goes through our standards evaluation where we get the information and then we're running through our scoring and
Mhm.
then selecting. So to date, I have been the sole person to say, okay, this one's going in, this one's going in. And then it gets curated for the app. And, you know, there's a lot of thought in how we're curating for the app as well. And I
And
can,
so is it all across North America, or is it just the United States? Is it like
yeah,
what area?
great
Because
question.
it sounds like you said 78,000. That's a lot of
Oh,
research.
yeah.
Oh my
So,
god.
well, so this is what's near me right now. You can
Yeah.
see pasture raised. Um, and you come in and we give you the scoop, and then we even give you tips on what to order and how to order
Oh,
it.
nice.
Yeah.
Now do
Yeah.
you
So
get
that
to travel to all of these places and try them out?
well, a lot of the places I have been to,
Oh,
but
nice.
there are some that I have not. And frankly, like I have the confidence because I've been to enough places and then I've like put the standards to the test,
Mhm.
right? And if they really pass our standards test, and then we look at ratings, reviews, all the
Mhm.
public comments. We look at that last, right? Most
Sure.
people would go straight to look at the reviews, but that's like the last thing we look at. And so if I've got confidence that they're sourcing really good high quality food and they're preparing it healthfully. You can find things like, you know, they've got lacto fermented vegetables or pickled onions. I always think pickled onions make the salad taste better than just raw onions, right?
Sure.
Um, so they're just these kind of indicators of like quality and delight
Uh-huh.
that make me more confident to recommend a place. And so we really don't put anything in there unless it's been validated. I will say, right before the pandemic, I actually did a trip around every single airport and canvassed. I mean, this is hilarious, right? So I had like all the airports, all the major hubs, and it like, here's where you're gonna get your organic green juice because we
Mhm.
like I there are no juice bars in the Healthy Anywhere app unless they are 100% all organic, right?
Wow.
Because yeah, I don't wanna be mainlining like
Yeah,
non-organic produce
pesticides and
basically, you
yeah.
know?
Well, and, I think the other thing that I like about what you're doing, I know sometimes it's really challenging, especially if you're away from home, trying to figure out where to go, and it gets exhausting because, like, this one says that they're gluten friendly, and this one
Oh,
says
yeah.
that they have, certain products on their menu, and, like, it's really challenging, so it sounds like what you've done with Healthy Anywhere is cut down on a lot of the noise and make it so is there a way for people
Yeah.
within the app to also go in and say, "Yes, I want a healthy anywhere app, and it has to be gluten-free," or, I have to be able to get a vegan meal or whatever?
Bingo, bingo, bingo. Let's see if I
Oh, look at this.
that's a pizzeria, sourdough pizzeria there. Okay, let's see if I can show you this. Yes, we have a gluten-free and dairy-free filter in there.
Nice.
Now, there's also a meat filter here. Now, but you see that meat has grass around it.
Yeah.
So we will tell you if there's places where you can reliably get good pasture raised meat.
Mm,
Ideally,
nice.
also, grass fed, grass finished. So and we will mention because it is hard. Like it's hard even just to find organic chicken, for example,
Right.
right? So you will not see the word chicken in the app unless it is organic at a minimum, right?
Mhm.
So and then we also have the fish. So our fish indicator,
Mhm.
uh,
I see
that's
that.
the we're looking for very specific fish. It's the
Right.
high omega-3, the low mercury, and sustainably caught. So
Right.
it's very nerdy. Now, for our vegetarians and vegans, and this is my favorite, the greens filter. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is where we are actually benchmarking leafy green vegetables.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm looking at the quality and the variety and the quantity, right? So you can, you're going to have like a good place if you just use the greens filter and you're fine. I mean, any place, honestly, any place that's going to show up here,
Right.
you have the confidence that it's been vetted, right? So
Right.
it's all okay. So it meets or exceeds their standards. Great. So you may not even need to use filters, but they're there if you want it. And there's some hidden things. Of course, we've got organic, and if it's 100% organic, we will say that 100%
Right.
organic because that again, that's a really special thing, and we want to highlight special and also regenerative if we're able to
Right.
verify. So we'll mention regenerative. Um, but we do have like secret collections in there, which we're probably going to have some buttons, shortcut buttons that you can use. But so our essential healthy collection is our like anti-inflammatory food as medicine. These are the eateries
Nice.
that, sometimes they have a functional nutritionist they've worked with. But
Oh,
they're really,
wow.
yeah, yeah, they are health and nutrition forward.
Uh-huh.
And that's by design. And that's a really, really rare thing. So they are highlighted in the app as essential. And I want to say we were over 200 essential eateries.
Mm.
So it's about 10% of
Uh-huh.
what's in the app at this point. And obviously really focusing on getting more of those in there as we find them, but that's what we found so far. Then there's also as we're recording this, we just had Valentine's Day, and so we have a sweet treat collection, which but it focuses on whole sugar desserts, more wholesome treats.
Right.
So I'm looking for, are they putting in some fiber? Is there some, flax? Is there chia? Are there whole grains? Are they using almond flour to offset that sweetness? And
Sure.
ideally the sweetness is from bananas or dates or maple syrup. Um, not definitely no refined sugars. So, but there was I know this because I was topping them off lately. We had 170 of those places across the country. And going back, you asked, where is the app, um, global aspirations. So the
Mhm.
76,000 that we're looking at, that really includes that's worldwide.
Oh, wow.
Um, but it's a lot of work, as you
Mm.
said, to go through and make it through. So I've got a backlog that I'm hoping by the time this airs, we will be through that. It will be live. It's gonna be a nice kind of challenge for me to see where we're at by that time. But we're in right now, we're in over 220. That's a dated, that was as of November. So we're probably 300 plus cities.
Wow, that's
Um,
great.
yeah, and that's, not everyone has deep coverage. So if you're in the
Sure.
Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, we've got hundreds of selections here in the New York and Los Angeles, Denver, Boulder. There are some cities that we have more options. I think Seattle, we've got at least like 25 to 30 of
Mhm.
kind of the top that have met standards, and always looking to add more. Um, but yeah, I'll
Yeah, that's
pause.
really cool, and again, I know for so many people, it's a challenge to figure out where to eat. I love it when I'm at an airport and I all of a sudden, like, stumble across something that's a good choice, or if I'm in a strange city, and so I can see how this would make it so much easier for people. So I'm just curious because I know you have a sneaky trick to finding a great place to eat. Would you be willing to share that with us?
Oh, what's it worth? No, of course, of course. We have lots of sneaky tricks. I'll share one sneaky trick, and this
Sure.
was this was my favorite one. And of course, I learned this. This goes back to my consulting days when people would be kind of throwing out options of where we're going to go eat, right? And so
Mhm.
I would go look at the menu. So if you can look at a menu, look at the leafy greens that are on that menu. And you don't just want to see the spinach and the kale and the chard, like the normal romaine. If you see like the chicories and the wild lettuces, I don't know, maybe like a nasturtium or just something special, like
Mhm.
specialty greens and leafy vegetables like the radicchio, of course. I mean, radicchio, you'll see that at a lot of Italian eateries, but like the Castelfranco radicchio. Oh, now you've got my attention. You had me at Castelfranco radicchio. So, mm, yeah, it's these small details
Yeah.
that are big, often big indicators
Mhm.
that they're really going the extra mile to do the right thing.
That's
Um,
great.
yeah, so I
Yeah,
would say that's
I love when places talk about where they've sourced their stuff from. Like, my favorite salad place in town has literally a chalkboard where they
Mhm.
talk about where they're getting all of the ingredients that they're offering, and it's just nice to be able to see that. So that's actually a great tip. If it's more than just the standard top 5 greens, then chances are they've got some other good things on the menu as well.
yeah.
So I'm just curious, well, two-part question, I guess. Is there a cost for the app, and are you available for both, the Android, Google people and the Apple iPhone people?
Yes. So, yes to all three. So, and we actually do have a free trial
Oh, nice.
on Apple right now. We're kind of secret on Android. We're in beta, but you can sign up, you can get a membership through our website.
Okay.
And then we get you on that app, and it's the exact same as what you get through Apple. We're maintaining both. But,
Mhm.
with Apple, you can go to the App Store, you can Google the best way to find us is Google Healthy Anywhere, and you'll see there's the app, there's the website, and you can sign up for a free 7-day trial, and that it is $29.99 a year.
Wow.
So yeah, so it averages out to like 250, 249 or something a month.
Less than a
Um,
cup of coffee.
oh yeah. I mean, it's almost less than an espresso shot these days. I think it is
There you go.
with inflation, right? Um, but yeah, and right now I wanted to keep the pricing accessible.
Mhm.
And particularly as we're growing. So we really do need member support because the costs are far outpacing kind of any, revenue that we've had to date.
Mhm.
So getting the healthy word out and having some member support is going to be like really important. for us this
Yeah.
year. So I really, really appreciate um, you
Well,
providing a
I'm
sounding board and
yeah,
putting.
I'm excited to hear about this. Like I said, this is something that I have for years said, why isn't there something like this? And you've done it. And so that's really wonderful. I will make sure to put the links down below for anybody who is interested in getting the app and learning what you're about and discovering how they can eat healthy on the road. I just want to tell you, I appreciate your passion and your commitment to people being able to eat healthy anywhere. I think that's
Mm.
amazing. And I really want to thank you for your time today. It's been lovely to talk with
Oh,
you.
thank you, Mira. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. It was such a treat. And yeah, anytime I'd be happy to
Well,
connect.
thanks, but maybe we'll have to have you back as we add new fun and exciting things.
Absolutely.
Well, for everyone who's watching, make sure you check out the links down below. And if you know that you are going to be on the road and you want to make sure that you have nourishing food, then I encourage you to get your copy of the app. And I also want to remind you, as always, in all you do, make today a healthy day. Bye, folks.